Welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast, where we explore the lives and passions of trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and cultural icons. And we go beyond their accomplishments to bring out more humanness and kindness. I am Denisa Tova, your host. And today I am super excited to chat with amazing Mara Marini. She's an actress, she's a writer, producer. She is known for her vivacious roles, including the TV show Parks and Recs, Schitt's Creek, the movie Chips. I mean, there's just so much more, but also her creative ventures in writing and producing. She's a Canadian native who has made a splash in Hollywood, and she's just full of life. So let's dive right into her story. Mara, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You really are full of life. I spoke to you on the phone and you look and sound exactly what you were like on the phone and what I envisioned. So it's such a pleasure to have you here with us. Tell me about your journey from Canada to Hollywood. I know there's so much there.
Sure, yeah. So I knew since I was 4 years old that I wanted to be an actress. And my parents didn't really know what to do with me because my mom was a teacher, my dad was a pilot. We were in Winnipeg, Manitoba. There wasn't now they're shooting a lot there, but when I was a kid, there was no industry there at all. And so when I was 6, I just started memorizing out of my mom's Shakespeare book. And she's like, okay, I'll try to find a children's theater class for you, which she did, and I fell even more in love. And then just everything was, how do I get to LA? How do I get to LA? Because I knew that that's where you needed to be, or that's what I thought. And just at the time that was pretty true. I know you can be other places now. Um, and I'm such a Capricorn, so like every yearbook quote, everything was like, how do I get to LA? And I auditioned for I actually went to York University when I was 17 for their theater program. And when I was there, I auditioned for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which has a New York and an LA campus. And I got in, and I was like, oh, off to LA. And so got here at 18 and haven't left. I mean, I've done projects in other places, but I've lived here since. So yeah.
Oh my God, that was just like such a big blast through that is amazing. So you were so hyper focused. It's almost like a law of attraction that was just unfolding and you had this vision that you were attached to. That's really inspiring. You were pursuing your dreams. Look, I'm sure though that your journey to the entertainment industry and through it was not easy. It was not a straight trajectory. Can you share a moment of setback and how you bounced back, obviously, and sort of the biggest lesson from that?
Sure, sure. I mean, I've had quite a few. It was really hard starting out. I think even from a very young age, I would have acting teachers say, "You're going to work a ton when you're older. You're going to work a ton when you're much older." And you don't want to hear that when your friends are like auditioning for the CW Ingenues and all that kind of stuff. I was told, like, likened to a young Jennifer Coolidge before like everyone knew who Jennifer Coolidge was. She actually spoke at my graduation. Funny side note. But
Funny.
so for me, yeah, I just it was hard because I was, hitting the pavement, trying to get representation, trying to get auditions, and it just wasn't happening for me. So I started kind of creating my own stuff. I did my own one woman show. I kind of did this like backward sort of thing where it's not illegal, but it's not really allowed.
Ah,
Basically,
love it.
um, every day.
Spill the beans, spill the beans.
Okay. Every day breakdowns comes out, and what breakdowns are all the roles that are auditioning, or they're seeking submissions for auditions, and
Okay.
only agents and managers are allowed to get those. Well, at the time, a retired manager was allowing me to use his account, and I was able to submit myself for things, which was awesome. It was a very short period of time, but rewind a little bit. I um This one casting director was having a workshop, and I didn't have good representation at the time. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get in front of her any other way, and she was casting some big comedy shows at the time, one of them being Parks and Rec. So I'm like, well, I got to get in front of her somehow. So I go do this workshop. She told me I was really funny. I was like, oh, score, okay, so maybe she'll remember me for something. And it just happened to be luck of the draw. A couple days later, this role comes out for the show. So I submit myself under that account and I make a fake email address as a manager. And I say, oh, you need to bring my client in. You just met her at the workshop. She'd be perfect for this role. And that's how I got that audition. And then I got the role. And then they kept calling, the show kept bringing me back, which was so wonderful. But, you just sometimes have to attack the industry from any way you can get in,
Yep.
So, yeah.
I call it being
Hustling.
resourceful and enterprising. Okay, no one got hurt in
Thank
the
you.
process. It's totally fine. That's ballsy. That's ballsy now. You
Thank
just keep rolling
you.
forward. No, seriously, that's you've obviously paved your way. And so as far as your role as an actress, talk about some past credits.
Yeah,
What what
yeah.
what were you
So
in?
Parks and Recreation was definitely one of my most fun and memorable roles because I did get to come back so many times and I was in the series
Yeah.
finale. It was just so wonderful because everyone involved in the show was so happy to be there, from
Mm.
wardrobe to makeup to all the writers, the cast. It was just so welcoming and fun. And I think due in huge part to Amy Poehler, she made it just such a wonderful place to be. That was just such a treat. You're working with comedy legends, you're getting to improv with them. Like, it's just so fun. And then I've got to guest star on Blackish, which was also really amazing to be
Yeah.
part of. Just some really funny, talented people on there. Schitt's Creek, which was really awesome. Everyone, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, they're just, legends and so funny. And then I did the movie Chips. I did this Disney show called Kickin' It. I shot a Disney Plus show in Hawaii last year called Doogie Kamealoha MD, which is streaming now on Disney Plus with Allison Hannigan,
Wow.
she was
Yeah.
so funny too. She's on Dancing with the Stars right now. Um, and yeah, and then I shot a couple films last year that are waiting to come out. I know with the strike and everything, they're kind of waiting. And then
Yeah.
I shot a movie in Greece at the beginning of this year, which was so cool. And
Wow.
yeah,
Love
yeah, we'll
Grease. Oh
see.
my gosh, these are some
Yeah,
great fun shows. Um,
thank
what is your favorite role? Because I mean, I think you were trained as a classical actress, so you can play pretty
yes.
much in any role, right? But what is your favorite role?
The favorite role that I played?
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Um, I'd have to say Brandy Max on Parks and Rec, just because the writing was
Yeah.
so fantastic. Again, getting to come back and come back and come back, and they could have easily made that character very one dimensional, and they gave her some depth and like heart of gold, and it just made it so fun to play. So I loved that one so much. It'll always hold a special place in my heart.
You've been on that show, like you say, you kept on coming back. So for a while, have you found yourself sort of stepping into that role outside of the set, just to sort of become, one with it? That would be actually interesting with this particular character. But did you do that?
For me, I've never been a method actor, and everyone has their own way of doing things. For me, I've
Yeah.
always been able to, whether it's comedy or drama, leave it at the door and come back to it when I come back. I know some people
Mm.
need to really live in it. I just work a little bit differently. So as much as I love Brandy Max, I don't know if I fully embody her outside of set.
That is amazing. You're just so open and just comfortable, and authentic. I love that. So what did your day look like when you're preparing for to shoot an episode? I mean, there's a lot of memorization. What all goes into it? What does a day like that look like for you?
Well, it sort of depends on a few factors. Like, it depends on the type of show, because sometimes you're given your script with enough time that you're not really stressing too much. Some, you're and again, depending on the show and the episode, you're just given pink pages or blue pages, so you're basically given inserts of like new lines. Sometimes they'll like yell lines out at you, again depending on the show. And with Parks, we were lucky enough to do a fun run, so after we did a few takes of the scripted version, we could actually improv, which was really cool too, because you never knew it would make it
Wow.
onto the episode, which is kind of rare and really, really fun. um, but yeah, it depends a little bit on, the role, the type of show. Um, I'm very, again, like Capricorn, like workhorse. So for me, and I love doing this. So I kind of, go above and beyond sometimes with like research and doing all the things, but I enjoy it. And I just feel like it all adds to the character. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered your
Yeah.
question or not, but
No, no, that definitely gives me a glimpse into what that looks like. What and we talked about it a little bit. I'd love for you to share that. What would be a role of a lifetime for you if you had to play one role where you sort of pour yourself into and your personality? What would that be?
well, there's like a few that I'm like dying to do. I mean, I'd love to have my own sitcom ultimately one day. That's something I is my dream goal. I would love. I've been told so many times, especially when I was platinum blonde, I get told so many times that I remind people of a young Dolly Parton. I mean, it would be a dream if she had a biopic. I know that'd probably go to a, a celebrity, so I don't know that if I could be in the running or not, but
Never
that would
know.
be such a dream. I get told all the time, you have to play. Or Betty White, because I do get told, I
Mm,
remind people a lot, like comedy wise, of Betty White. So, and I'm such a huge fan of her. And
yeah.
then before I die, I have to play a mob wife, or my life will have not been complete.
Mob wife. Why? What
I
what
just
draws you to
was
that?
obsessed with like mob movies, like Married to the Mob and The Sopranos when I was a kid. Like
Yeah.
I loved Adriana. I just think it would be so fun, I think, so that there's so many things I want to do. But comedy wise, those are definitely three I would love to be a part of at some point.
Hmm. And I know so you also write. Well, tell me about
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So I've always written, I've always really enjoyed it. Like I love acting and I really like writing, but all of the writing is kind of to put myself in front of the camera. So I've written, my own pilot. I have a few pilots in the works with different writing partners. I also have a couple films that are in the works. They're all at various stages of production. We actually shot a short film before the pandemic with Jane Lynch and some really funny people, Derek Phillips
Oh,
from Friday Night Lights and another guy from Parks and Rec. And we won a bunch of awards. We won Best Comedy at Mammoth Film Festival. So we're gearing up. We've actually written two shorts since, and we're gearing up to shoot those once the strike is over, hopefully soon. And so, yeah, just hands in a bunch of different pies, and we'll see where it all goes.
you really are Energizer Bunny. I know there's so many people cannot wait to for the strike to end. I spoke with Ice T, who was also on the show, and he said the same thing. I can't wait to get back into Law and Order and jump right in. And for people like you, who is just full of energy and loves has passion for what you do, I can only imagine. What How else are you channeling your creativity outside of acting and writing, and you also produce?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, during this strike, it's been a lot more writing because I can do that on my own without,
Mm.
going against any rules or whatever. But I'm am dying to like work again. I have had the opportunity to audition for a few things since the strike started that have been SAG waiver projects. I'm still waiting to hear on those, fingers crossed. But
Yes.
it's unfortunately there's not a lot of those around, so it's been quiet. But I do love fitness. I hike every day, go to the gym every day. I try to just be active, and again, I'm solar powered, so I'm in the right place in California. So for me, as long as I have the sunshine and
Like
I can
that.
do something creative at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy.
Talking about comedy, let's talk about dating in LA.
Ooh.
Isn't that a comedy these days?
Yeah. I mean, I'm writing basically the pilot I wrote is just all my dating horror stories because I feel like if there was a Guinness Book of Records for the most first dates in the world, I don't think anyone has gone on more than me. I really don't. I've gone on so many first dates. I can't even tell you. Literally, it's gone to the point where all my girlfriends before they go on a date, they'll be like, hey, they'll screenshot his profile, be like, hey, do you know him? And 7 times out of 10, I do, or I have something to
Oh my
say, whether
God.
we've chatted before, matched multiple times, actually been on a date, or dated. Um, but it's bonkers. And I think, I have
Wow.
so many thoughts on why it's so hard out here. It is just dark days. If you are a female looking for something more than just a first date, it is dark days.
Oh man, we could do a podcast just on that topic alone.
100%.
What are your, I know we talked about your pet peeves that had to do with driving, actually, that got me laughing, but going back to dating, like what is your like
Mhm.
non-negotiable? Like what's your pet peeve, and maybe you've seen it on some of those first dates that were like disasters.
Oh, I mean, I've had some hilarious dates, but I think if a guy is rude to the wait staff, if he has a big ego, which, well, there's a lot of those around here,
Mhm.
any sort
Mhm.
of like narcissistic tendencies that I can suss out right away, um, rude to his mom, like any of that kind of stuff, I'm out. Like I literally had a guy, it was a first date. We were maybe 15 minutes into the first date, and he started this monologue about how he only dates supermodels, and then literally took out his phone and started showing me
Oh my God.
all the supermodels he's dated. And I'm like, am I
What a
really here
loser.
right
Loser. Seriously?
now?
Where in fact
It's
it's
bad.
probably just he probably lives in his mom's basement and has a cat, and that's probably the sad reality. Wow. That's so, I mean, what are you looking for in a man?
So I I mean, for me, it's really just I, I'm very feminine, so I'd love, like, I'm careful to say this because I know with gender roles and everything, it's more of just an energy. Because I don't want to
Yeah.
say alpha because I know it has a lot of negative connotations, and I don't mean that. I wish there was a word for what I'm trying to say, but just a guy that gets stuff done, that has ambition and confidence, but is kind and can communicate and is emotionally available and wants a relationship and is funny. That might be asking too much at this point, but something. My parents have been together so long. They are so cute. They FaceTime me every day, just laughing at each other's
Oh.
jokes. They just love doing life together. And in a perfect world, I know I'm never. I feel like they won the lottery in love. Like I know I'm not going to get that, but as close to that as I could get, I would love.
I think you can, because you are a very determined person. You so far basically have attracted what many people would have given up along the way, and you've attracted so much into your life from like the age of 4. That perfect person is out there, and you never know, people who are listening here. And yeah, there's no need to settle. I know there's so many people who settle and then they're miserable, and that's not worth it. So yeah, that's but do I think you should have a sitcom, or there should be a show on the dating disasters, because I'm based in New York and I'm hearing that here too. So yeah, it's like an epidemic. There's something, I think, after COVID, where everybody's sort of virtual and texting. It's like I'm
Hmm.
gonna hide myself, right?
Yeah.
And behind texting, and then when I have to reveal myself physically, it's like, oh shit, okay, oh my God, I'm seen. I gotta,
Yeah.
I can't communicate. I'm like, so
Totally.
it's
And I think the
yeah.
apps have really ruined the male brain because they have this illusion of there's so many options. And like, you know, all these guys think they can get all the hottest girls, even no matter what they look like themselves. So it's just like this interesting, and it's become less about let me get to know this person and try to invest
Yeah.
my time in this person. It's become more about validation. It's not a dating app, it's a validation app. Am I hot? Am I good looking? Does
Mm,
she think I'm hot? Okay, good. I'm on to the next one. Like he doesn't,
yeah.
it's so fascinating. I'll match with people and they don't say anything. So I'm like, you're just looking for validation that someone will like you. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, for validation, or it's just like a one night stand. That's it. It's like, okay, swipe. All right, next. Yeah, no, relationship.
But
What?
what's an
I have to
interesting
reveal myself.
epidemic? Yeah, it's interesting because it used to be the one night stand thing, and we've a lot of my girlfriends talk about this. It's like they don't even try for that anymore. It's the dopamine hit of the match and a good first date is almost enough for them because then they're on to someone else for another first date. It's like this constant bigger bettering it. Like she was great, but the hot blonde tomorrow might be perfect, and it's just next, next, next. It's really interesting.
Wow, so just getting the swipes and the likes get them to replace the orgasm. Okay, wow.
I
All
think so.
right. Okay, so next that you're gonna be dating AI. Like seriously, what
Well,
what's next? I mean,
I don't want to
right? I
get too
mean,
graphic, but Oculus has VR porn, and a lot of my guy friends have like stopped dating. They just that's what they do. No, I mean, not a lot of my guy friends, but a handful, and it's concerning. I'm like, this is going to be the end of humanity.
yeah, I know exactly. Well, that certainly that entity will not be listening to you. Will not give a shit if you have a bad day. Certainly. I mean, yeah, that is wow. You and I, we can go on and on and on forever here. Listen, I will I will definitely have you back, and I really appreciate you putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and just being again authentic. Your great energy, and thank you so much, for sharing your laughter, your stories, just the warmth of your spirit here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so wonderful. You're awesome. Thank you, Denisa.
My pleasure. And for those captivated by Mara's charm, follow her adventures and acting in life on social media at Pop Gloss, and you can catch a glimpse of her world both on and off screen. And do not forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast, and follow us on all social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.